Every person matters. Each human being is a small universe, a consciousness that will never be repeated. And yet, most of us pass through life believing that true change belongs to someone else, to geniuses, to scientists, to people born under a luckier star. But the history of human progress tells a different story. It tells us that the greatest discoveries often come not from brilliance, but from attention, not from power, but from curiosity. Sometimes one unnoticed gesture, one accident, one child's question can shift the direction of humanity. The purple stain that changed the world. In 1856, an 18-year-old student named William Perkin worked in a tiny home laboratory in London. He had no great reputation, no established position, only his fascination with chemistry and his dream of helping people. He was trying to create a synthetic version of quinine, the medicine used against malaria. The experiment failed. In his flask remained a dark, sticky substance that looked like waste. But when he wiped it from the glass, he saw that it left behind a brilliant purple color, richer than any natural dye he had ever seen. That accident became the birth of synthetic dye, the beginning of the chemical industry that would later give rise to modern medicines and materials. What had begun as a failed experiment turned into one of the most influential discoveries of the 19th century. A mistake opened a door to an age of color. The musician who found a planet. In 1781, William Herschel, a professional musician, spent his nights scanning the sky with a telescope he had built himself. He had no formal training in astronomy. He simply loved the quiet infinity of the stars. One night, he noticed something that moved differently from all the others. A small disk, slow and deliberate. He had discovered a new planet, Uranus, the first one found since ancient times. The world expanded that night, not because of an institution, but because of one man's curiosity. A musician, guided by wonder, became the first explorer of a larger universe. The woman who saw light in the dark. At the end of the 19th century, Marie and Pierre Curie were working in a poor and cold laboratory in Paris. They were studying strange invisible rays coming from the element uranium. The work was exhausting, the conditions primitive, and the mystery immense. One evening, Marie returned to the lab after nightfall. The room was dim except for a faint glow on a shelf. There, small glass tubes containing their samples shone with a soft blue-green light. It is said that the samples had been moved by a servant earlier that day and placed in a darker spot where their light could finally be seen. In that quiet moment, Marie Curie realized that the energy came not from sunlight or heat, but from the matter itself. The discovery of radioactivity revealed that atoms were not the solid, silent particles people believed them to be. Inside each of them, something alive and powerful was waiting to be understood. The invisible world had spoken. The Boy and the Dinosaur. In the summer of 2009, in the wide rocky hills of Alberta, Canada, a 15-year-old boy named Michael Harper was walking with his father. He was no scientist, just a curious teenager who liked to explore. Among the stones he noticed a pattern, bones half buried in the earth shaped unlike anything he had ever seen. Scientists later confirmed that he had found a new species of horned dinosaur. A walk, a glance, a question, that was all it took to add another branch to the tree of life. Sometimes discovery is not about searching, it is about noticing. The Child Who Froze a Dream. In 1905, in California, 11-year-old Frank Epperson mixed soda powder and water, stirring it with a stick. He left the cup outside overnight. The next morning, it had frozen, and the stick had become a handle. Without meaning to, he had invented the popsicle. He grew up, patented it, and millions of children around the world came to know the simple joy of his frozen accident. Not every discovery cures disease or expands the universe. Some simply make life sweeter. The Girl and the Invisible Life. Many years later, a 13-year-old girl named Anna Winchester participated in a school science fair. She collected water samples from a local pond to look at under a microscope. When scientists examined her slides, they discovered a new species of bacteria able to survive in polluted water. Her small act of observation helped researchers understand how nature heals itself. The invisible worlds around us often wait for the eyes of a child.
The Teenager Who Fought Cancer. In 2012, 15-year-old Jack Andraka lost a close friend to pancreatic cancer. He wanted to do something, not in a lab, not with funding, but with determination. He read hundreds of scientific papers online, built simple prototypes at school, and taught himself what professionals had refused to explain. After months of rejection and failure, he developed a simple, inexpensive paper sensor capable of detecting cancer in its early stages, 400 times more sensitive than existing tests. A boy with a laptop achieved what laboratories had missed for decades. Grief had become invention. Loss had become hope. The invisible connection. From a purple stain on a chemist's hand, to a homemade telescope, to a glowing shelf in a dark room, to a boy's frozen lemonade. These moments, separated by centuries, share one truth. Every human being can be a source of light. The people behind these stories were not experts. They were not chosen. They were ordinary, and that is what makes their stories extraordinary. They remind us that greatness is not inherited, it is discovered in the quiet space between curiosity and chance. Progress often begins when someone pays attention to what others overlook. A message to parents and teachers. Every child is unique. Every person carries a potential that cannot be measured or compared. But uniqueness does not mean superiority. We are not greater or lesser than one another. We are equal in our possibility to contribute, equal in our mystery, equal in the unknown futures that unfold from our actions. Tell your children this: they are valuable to the world, not because they are better than others, but because their existence adds something that no one else can give. And remind them that they can never know what impact their kindness, their curiosity, or their mistakes may have, not today and not in the distant generations that follow. A word, a glance, an act of attention can ripple through time in ways we cannot imagine. Every life, however ordinary it may seem, is a thread in the vast fabric of humanity. And somewhere, perhaps right now, a young person is making a small mistake, asking a strange question, or simply noticing what others ignore. And that single moment will change the world.